I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
No, I mean, how do you deal with... Look, this was obviously a conspiracy against America. We're the dumping ground for this. The public doesn't know what planet they're on. I mean, we're in trouble. So what are some of the really evil things they're doing right now as you track this daily? And then how are we countering it? What are ways to fight back against this and actually explain to them that plants do need water?
Right. So, you know, the best thing that anybody can do is really understand where their food comes from. And what they need to do is not only look at the package and the ingredients and understand what's in the package, but they also need to know where they're getting their fruits and vegetables and if they've been genetically engineered and if they have, you know, pesticides, toxic pesticides sprayed on them, synthetic chemicals. And then they need to take that back. And then they need to get really energized around the fact that every time they go buy something or eat something, that sends a message about how this world is going to be. And then they also need to rise up like our other citizens across the globe and tell these food companies, we won't be buying this food anymore. We're going to reject your GMOs, Monsanto. We're going to reject your Coca-Cola and Pepsi. We're going to reject your Frito chips.
And by the way, the rest of the world's already pretty much rejected it, so it's not like we can't do it.
Yeah, no, we absolutely can do it. All we have to do is stop buying it. That's all we have to do. And I'll give you an empirical example. I started a petition last year against Kraft macaroni and cheese because this is a product that thousands and millions of kids across the world are eating, you know, as some of their first foods. And one of the chemicals within that was petroleum-based food dyes that have been linked to hyperactivity in children, asthma, allergies. They've been contaminated with carcinogens, things that cause cancer.
You mean the kids aren't supposed to eat oil derivatives in their food? But I mean, that's what they crave.
Yeah, they totally.
I mean, I go to the oil well all the time and stick a straw in and drink it. I mean, it's good. Eh?
It's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, just, you know, hearing you say that, I mean, it should really be really clear to people that children, human beings, should not be eating petroleum-based dyes that have, you know, are created in this terrible fashion that they become, you know, contaminated with all of these cancer-causing additives, and not to mention totally screw with their head, you know, cause ADHD, autism, etc. All of the increases.
But they got Ritalin and Adderall the kids' brains crave to take care of that problem. Eh?
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. So, you know, I started a petition against Kraft because I found out that they, again, took these ingredients out overseas, but not for us here in North America. And what I tell you is that widespread campaign, the 350,000 people that signed that petition, along with all of the people who I call the Food Babe Army, who take care of themselves, but they also take care of everybody else too, because they're willing to go to Kraft's Facebook page and their Twitter account and call the headquarters and meet me at the headquarters when I deliver the petitions to show that we really care about our food and them, you know, these big major corporations cleaning up their food. But when Kraft wouldn't make the change, when they barely even let me into the headquarters, people knew they needed to stop buying this company. So not only did they boycott Kraft mac and cheese, they started boycotting Crackle Barrel and all their other cheese products and all the other kind of crazy stuff that they sell, like Lunchables, which are basically, you know, complete poison in a box.
Oh, but wait a minute. My children were going to a private school 2 years ago until we got sent home because they're accredited, the Michelle Obama pamphlet, and she recommended Lunchables. So she's recommending Subway with the plastic emulsifier that's so good for liver failure and kidney failure, and she's recommending Lunchables.
No.
What's wrong with that?
She can't do that.
She loves me.
Alex, let me just tell you about a story. You know, I had the chance to meet Michelle Obama in 2008. I was a delegate at the National Convention. And actually, in 2012, I was so fed up with the food policies, I actually stood up in front of the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, and protested for GMO labeling.
I remember that. We should have gotten you on earlier.
for all of the citizens across the United States, because this is one of the big injustices of the world. But back in 2008, when I met her, we had the opportunity to talk and really like connect on a really like small scale. It was a really small school. It was a small crowd. We really got to talk. And she actually convinced me not to go to law school. She told me whatever I was doing, that I was doing a good job and that I shouldn't take on additional loans to pay for law school. Well, what I found out is that she was actually right, because I realized I didn't have to become a lawyer to tell the truth. And so I started doing that on my blog, foodbabe.com. And I hope that, possibly this message might get to her and it'll be a reason for her to reach out to me. But, I think, if she were to look at what she's just endorsed with Subway, these sandwiches for kids, and saying that they're healthy and that parents can feel good about giving them these ingredients, I think she really needs to realize that she's been duped along with millions of other people, and that she can have a course correction here. She has the opportunity to sign my petition to remove artificial azido dicarbonamide from Subway's bread, and then she can use her power and her influence to really clean up the food system. And I'd like to, keep this invitation open for Michelle Obama to see if she'll reach out to me and we can talk about this issue. We can talk about how this terrible ingredient that she's now promoting as part of her major Let's Move campaign is linked to asthma and allergies and exacerbates issues within people who are sensitive to these dyes. But, they say there's certain people sensitive to all of these different ingredients. I think that's bullshit. Everybody is sensitive to some degree, because we're not supposed to be eating these chemically derived ingredients that are made from plastics and other, laboratory chemicals.
Have you ever seen Idiocracy? Because I keep bringing that up today.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Well, I don't own stock in it, but I am good friends with Mike Judge. And I tell you, you watch it, and it is freaky how much people are actually just like that now. You and the Food Babe Army, you as its general, as its Valkyrie, are having a lot of victories. And again, it's so good to see you out there. What are some other victories you're having? What are some new initiatives?
Yeah, so, we were able to get Kraft to start removing artificial food dyes from their food. They've started doing that towards the products marketed towards kids, but they still are yet to confirm that they're going to remove it from all their products. However, I keep seeing their products at like 50 and 75% off discount, so I have a feeling they're going to be moving those too. And then, I also wrote some specific articles in regards to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a big fast food company here in the South, and they've actually just moved over to California. And one of the ingredients that I found in there that was really disturbing was TBHQ. It's like a derivative of butane. I'm sure you've talked about it here on this show. And
butane is a bastard gas. Sorry, I'm now quoting Hank Hill. Go ahead.
And I was able to actually get them to remove that through the Food Babe Army spreading the awareness of this issue. They invited me to their headquarters, and at first it was a little bit disheartening, because I didn't believe in their politics. I didn't believe in what they were selling. I still think they have some major changes to make. For example, their chickens are completely from factory farms. Their MSG is one of the first ingredients in a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. So they have a long way to go, but at least we got them to remove TBHQ and some artificial food dyes. Another less aware win that I have that I personally really enjoyed being a part of was when I realized that Chipotle about a year and a half ago wouldn't release their ingredients online. They wouldn't even tell us what was in their food. When you call the headquarters, they wouldn't tell you what was in their burritos. And the reason why they didn't want to tell you back then is because they wanted to keep their ingredients hidden from you, because they were using a large amount of GMOs. And to have the marketing that said food with integrity, they really needed to abide by that. So their way to hide that from you was secrecy. So I called them out about that, and there was actually a petition started on my behalf, and Chipotle ended up reaching out to me, the communications director, and I let him know that I would help him get the ingredients online, and that it was their if they're going to abide by their marketing food with integrity, we need to know what's integrous.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. 3,500 comments on the petition article. Let's go back for closing comments. I want to invite you back as things break and as things go on. What are you looking at on your radar screen right now? And what are some of the brief success stories versus some of the negative setbacks we're seeing here in the U.S. that's a dumping ground for all these toxic chemicals and GMO?
Well, one of the things that I've realized is that once the consumer wakes up and then they make their voice heard by either going to the company's Facebook page or signing petitions, things really work. One recent example is Cheerios removing GMOs. And I was part of the organization GMO Inside and part of the steering committee that allowed for that change, and actually was in the room when we decided to use Cheerios as a target, because it was a way to really educate the public first about GMOs, and secondly, educate the public about a cereal that's incredibly popular that almost every little kid has had in their lifetime. And these really popular products are really good targets because they really, everyone can kind of relate to them. And so Cheerios taking that step to remove GMOs after, a very short campaign, under a year campaign to eliminate this ingredient is kind of a really big deal. And I think other, major cereal manufacturers, et cetera, are going to be making these changes. You've already seen Post do this with grape nuts, and I think other cereals are going to do it. Now, one of the things that's really hard-hitting is going after dairy cows that are eating these genetically engineered ingredients, because who's eating the most GMOs out of anybody in the world? It's the animals. It's the cows, it's the chickens, it's the pigs. So if you can really target a company like, for example, Chobani. Chobani is a company that has all natural written all over their label, but they are getting their milk from GMO-fed cattle, and that when the GMOs are fed to the cattle, they get sick, and then when we eat that and we consume that milk, especially the fatty things like the full fat yogurt or the butter or the cream,
that's all transferred out of the fat because it bioaccumulates. And just look at how ketchup in the last year has switched over to saying with real sugar and non-GMO. And we're displacing them, so we're not getting rid of the dairy farmers. We're creating a market so they can sell good milk that's good for the cows. And it's just a win-win-win voting with our dollars.
Totally. And, we protect the cows, we protect the environment, we protect ourselves. So I think, Chobani really has, they got booted out of Whole Foods because of this. And it would be really great for them to make this change. And I think they're on the verge. We'll see what happens.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.